There is an update to the top 10 places to raise a family in the greater Houston area, and I can almost guarantee you some of these you have never heard of before. And so I want to break it down, hop on the map, kind of show you where they are and see if they are a great fit for you. Hi, my name is Aaron, and every week I'm helping buyers relocate to and throughout the greater city of Houston and the surrounding suburbs. So if you need to know anything about where to eat, sleep, live, play, hit me up morning, noon, or night. I'm your guy. I'll drop my number on the screen right now. It'll also be in the description below. But it doesn't matter if you're a day, a week, a month, a year, 2 years, 3 years out. I would love to be a resource to you. And so this list kind of shocked me a little bit. There's a couple on this list that I was just like, what? And then there's a few that were left off that I have no reason why they were left off. Not my words. We're going to go over to niche.com right now and just kind of break down some of their lists. I'll give you my opinions, kind of let you know what the price points are for in that area, and we'll see if any one of these step out as a new contender for a place that you want to move. Coming in at number 10 is El Lago, Texas, and this is down there by Texas City, the Clear Lake area. I kind of love this little pocket. The more and more I'm out here, the more and more I just see the possibilities of just beautiful kind of like living. It's a little bit more mature in most of these locations, and this one is right off of the lake out here off of Clear Lake. And so you're going to have the infrastructure. You're going to have the NASA Space Center over here. You're going to have Kima. You're going to have all these things, the amenities, the stores, the shopping, food, all the stuff that you're going to need to be in your area to feel like you don't necessarily need to go to and from the actual city of Houston more times than not. You're going to have all of that infrastructure out here. And so there's going to be a ton to do in the Seabrook, Kima area. Like I said, lots of restaurants, lots of water sports, lots of fishing, things and stuff that you can do. This is going to be a great area for you. Hopping on over into niche.com, we can see that it's going to be rated great for public schools, solid for housing and diversity. The median homes are going to be somewhere around 242, so that's well under the average single family home sales price right now as of the recording of this video. That hovers somewhere around 450,000 right now in the greater city of Houston. So super affordable place to be, super solid schools and super solid neighborhoods. Coming in at number 9 is his next door neighbor at Taylor Lake Village. Now I was so shocked when I just kept seeing all of these sort of communities down there in the Clear Lake as being ranked as some of the top places to raise family. But being out there and doing as much touring as I have out there as of late, I know that the schools out there are solid. I know that you get a different kind of variety of living and you get great architecture, and it's just a lot to do very close to you. So I can see how now the rankings would be kind of what they are. But this is like right next door to El Lago, the one that we just reviewed. Let's hop on over into niche to kind of see some of the stats and some of the breakdowns, but the same things apply out here. You're going to have a lot of water sport things that you can do over here, fishing, shopping, eateries, all the stuff that you want to do. You can go out here to NASA again. All that stuff is going to be like right there by you. Diversity, not as good. Public schools are better. Great for raising families and great for housing. The median home sales price out there is a little bit higher than where we just saw, so you can expect that the prices are going to be a little bit higher in that area. Not quite to that single family home sold price in the city of Houston, which is hovering right around 450, but it is creeping up to closer to 300,000. So you are going to expect to see a bump in what the houses cost in that greater Taylor Lake Village area. But you can see great architecture. You can drop down here, great mature trees. You're gonna see some of this mid-century modern. You're gonna see some ranches. You're gonna see some stuff that looks a little bit more modern, some stuff that looks a little bit more this century, right? Some newer construction stuff. But most of these communities are gonna be in the 60s, 70s, and 80s for a lot of the build out in this area. Coming in at number 8, we have Sienna. Now, I personally like Sienna. There's a great golf course out there that I just get bullied by all the time. Gorgeous houses out here. You're going to see a range of houses that are going to be, you know, a little bit more starter because they have some newer sections that they're still kind of developing and closing out, all the way up to mansions, all the way up to golf course community style mansions where the back of their big houses are kind of the spectacle of what you're teeing off by, right? So there's going to be some gorgeous homes that you're going to see out here, and the price point is going to be way higher than any of the places that we've looked at so far. So definitely one of these places where if you got some money and you're doing well in life, you can be in Sienna. Probably one of the biggest downsides of being in Sienna is that the history kind of associated with it being one of the largest plantations in the greater Texas area. They just changed the name a few years ago. But other than that, it's a great community, great schools, all tied to all that stuff. Great amenities that are going to be close to you. So really, really, really love the Sienna location. Hopping on over the niche, we see great public schools, great for housing, great for families. We're going to get closer and closer to that $450,000 mark as we get to this area. Many of these are going to be more established, but they are going to be much bigger homes, much more estate style homes than the previous two locations that we just toured. So definitely one of my top places that I love to be. I love to be out there, but it's definitely getting a little bit pricier as we go out to the greater Sienna location. And so if you're not familiar with where Sienna is, this is where it is on the map. And basically it's pretty much claimed everything from 521 all the way over to basically here at this point. This is a little bit small for Google. I'm shocked that they're just showing this, but it's really spreading and they continue to develop, and they have sections that are coming up damn near every day. And so hopping down over here, this is not too far from the golf course. So just kind of showing you what is on Waters Lake. And like I said, you got some mini mansions over here. This is just kind of the norm of what you can see and expect as you're rolling down the street in Sienna. You have some houses that are not so huge, but the vast majority of them are going to be more estate style, really big homes with nice mature trees. The next one on the list is Bunker Hill Village. Now, I know that most people don't know where this is, especially if you're not from Houston and you're looking at relocating to Houston. This is not one that you're searching, right? This, in my opinion, is one of the prettiest locations in Houston. I know Houston, for so many parts of it, just looks so flat and so dry and just not a lot of trees, not a lot of life around you. But if you're going down here and you're going down some of these winding roads, there's just gorgeous trees, mature trees basically covering damn near everything that you can see. And then in between there's just some of the prettiest, biggest mansion style homes that you could ever see off some of these little side roads. They have their own street signs. They have their own police crew. Everything is just kind of Bunker Hill, Bunker Hill, Bunker Hill. They basically separate themselves from Houston. So it's a whole different type of lifestyle. Right here, you're kind of covered and surrounded by Memorial, which is another just like really, really nice location in the greater Houston area. So just to kind of give you a taste of where you are, you're in just basically south of Memorial City, just south of I-10. And so you're going to have easy access to the Loop and to the gallery and all these things that are around you. So amenities, shopping, food, all the stuff that you're going to need is going to be very close to you. And you're going to be in the midst of being in one of the prettiest locations that you can be in Houston. So public schools, great for families, great for diversity. Housing is going to be a C+, and I'm going to assume that that's because the real estate over here is damn near triple what the average single family home sales price is for the greater city of Houston. And this is not a shock. And like I said, you're riding down there and it just feels like you have been placed into mega mansion capital of the greater city of Houston. So I know that is the reason why that so many people are looking at this like this is a terrible for housing. And just look at the stats. I know if you rewind back and look at the stats of what this was like in the rent to own in the previous places that we've lived, it's been like 75-25 where people own. Over here, damn near everybody owns, but this is just a very wealthy part of town. So just kind of showing you what I mean, just riding down some of these streets, you're just going to see mansions basically everywhere. It doesn't matter which direction you pick, you're just going to see little mini McMansions pretty much in every direction as you ride down this community. So it is definitely a step up in price point. There's definitely a step up in tax bracket out here, but this is kind of what you would get in Bunker Hill. And so it comes in because the schools and safety and all that stuff and how close you are to the city. All of that is going to be, you know, at the peak. The one drawback is that it's going to be, this is a very wealthy area, and that the pricing of homes are going to definitely be multi-million-dollar homes for a lot of these. Next on the list is Friendswood. Now this one comes up for me for people that are kind of interested in this Pearland to Clear Lake sort of area. Just because the greater Houston suburbs kind of are how they are, and the lines seem to be kind of like ever shifting and shaking up. A lot of these places that I would call old Pearland, many people would consider it to be Friendswood, just for people that lived here and have been here their whole lives or for been here longer than I've been here. So a lot of these areas, like there's some housing over here off of Broadway or off of Longwood that can be considered Pearland, but people that grew up here would be like, oh no, that's over in Friendswood. But I'm not a historian of when things turned over. This is what Google is saying is Friendswood, and so we're gonna go with that. But out here, you're gonna have your infrastructure. You got a bunch of parks that are close to you or within the greater Friendswood area. You're gonna be close to both of the interstates to get you north and into the city. And so now the one comment I would say about both of these interstates are they are some of the worst interstates that we have in terms of traffic. You're always gonna have some kind of level of traffic on 45 or 35 just trying to get back north and into the city. So if you don't necessarily need to be in the city, this is going to be a great location for you. So great public schools, great for housing, great for families, and great diversity. Those are all good. The median average single family home sales price are a little bit higher than what we saw at El Lago or Taylor Lake. And the breakouts for own versus rent. In my experiences out there, you have a lot of single family ranch style older homes that are for rent. Not too many apartments are going to be out there. It's mostly going to be single family homes and like townhouses out in that area. But the prices of the homes are going to step up a little bit out here in the greater Friendswood area. But just hopping in here and riding down many of the streets, they're going to look like this. You're going to have a lot of mature trees. You're going to have some older style homes, ranch style homes for a lot of these. You're going to have some people that have come in and done some renos to make it look a little bit better. But for the most part, these are going to be much older communities, right? So it's just going to be kind of what to expect out in the Friendswood. Is definitely an older, kind of more of a small town, quieter kind of vibe. But this is going to be the style of home that you're going to see. Every once in a while, you'll have something that kind of stands out. But for the most part, you're going to just see older homes with a lot of character and different kind of architecture out here in the greater Friendswood area. All right, we've hit top 5. So we're down to the major countdown. This is coming in at number 5 on the list of places to raise a family. And so I would agree with this wholeheartedly. There's a ton to do out here. Great schools, a lot of infrastructure. You're in a great place where you're kind of close to a lot of the interstate. So if you need to get to and from Katy, if you need to get to and from the other side of town, kind of where we were when we were out here looking at Sienna and some of these other places, depending on which part of Sugar Land that you're going to be in, you're going to have great access to get to and from the city. You're also basically cut down the middle from 69. So this is probably going to be one of the easiest routes into the actual city of Houston. And so great styles of living. You got some golf courses out here. You got some places that can give you lakeside living. You got the First Colony Mall out here, which, you know, it's a little bit of an older mall, but it gives you everything that you're going to need. Like I said, golf courses, lots of shopping. You're going to have your parks, recreational things, museums, everything that you're going to need to have fun and to enjoy yourself and say that you don't need to be in the city of Houston. You're going to have it out here. They also have their own minor league team out here, the Space Cowboys. So tons of things to do, along with great schools, quiet neighborhoods. Some are gated, some are not. But it's just a really gorgeous location. And this is one of the first locations where I moved to or actual traveled to Houston and was just like, man, I just thought at that point in time that everything was Houston, not knowing what I know now about the place. But I was here visiting my aunt and was just like, man, I want to live out in Sugar Land, Houston is what I called it all those years ago when I visited my aunt. And so it's just a really pretty location. I like how they have a lot of the buildings, making them look the same, how they have that same kind of similar color brick facade just to make everything look uniform and clean. And so I really personally love the Sugar Land area. Hopping on over in the niche, you got great public schools, great diversity, great for housing, great for families. This one is, again, another step up in the median average single family home sales prices. So what you're going to see is there are going to be some areas. I know I just did a couple tours out there and I also did a review of that area. You're going to have some areas that are a huge step up in price. I know a lot of our professional Texans and Astros and Houston Rockets professional athletes live out in the Sugar Land area because there's a couple really sought after, desirable kind of locations out there. So you're gonna definitely have some places that are gonna give you that mansion style, lake style living, but you also are going to have some more affordable entry level places that you can call home in the greater Sugar Land area. And so if you want to check that out, I'll leave a link in the description. I've done tons of videos on the Sugar Land area, so let me know what you think. But yeah, just depending on which part of Sugar Land you're in, you're gonna see some mini McMansions or you're gonna see some starter homes. But this is like stereotypical, like Texas suburb is what you can expect to be out in the Sugar Land area. But depending on which side you're in, if you're out there by the athletes, you're going to be seeing these winding roads with beautiful mature trees and these large houses. Or if you're in some of the parts that are a little bit more affordable, a little bit more attainable for the average person, you're just going to see nice clean lines, nice sized lots, not too close on each other. But out here in this part, this is the mini McMansion part. So that's the style of lifestyle that you can get out in Sugar Land, and it's one of my favorite parts of the greater Houston metro. Coming in at number 4 is Kingwood, and I actually like this part of town a lot. This one is the one that's kind of grown on me probably the most from this list, because I've become more and more attached to the Humboldt Atascocita area, and Kingwood is just up north of that. It's basically just the north side of the shoot-offs of Lake Houston. And so these little shoot-offs of the lake right here is kind of what separates Kingwood from Humboldt Atascocita, just south of it. But I personally love it. It's really pretty, really green, a lot of golf courses out here, a lot of nature parks and areas and things that you can do. You're gonna have your HEB, solid schools. A lot of people that I've met that kind of live either close to us or have been neighbors of mine grew up in the Kingwood area, and kind of as they're done with their part in time in the city of Houston, they typically retreat back to Kingwood. I have a lot of clients that are out there looking in that Kingwood, Humboldt, Atascocita area, and you just get a lot of pretty things that you can do out there, pretty homes, and you're close to, you know, basically Houston's big lake, right? So, and this lake is like boatable, full on boatable. People out there fishing, people just having water sports and just really loving that location. So I really love the Kingwood area, and I think it's one of the prettiest ones that the Houston Metro has to offer. Great for public schools, great for housing, great for families, great for diversity. Those are all good things I love to see. Now, this is one of the other reasons why I think people kind of gravitate to the Kingwood areas, because as you can see, this took a step down in price for the median home value. So what you're going to see is that places like Sugar Land, even though schools are going to be rated maybe the same, kind of close, you're going to have similar things to do in both of those areas. This is going to be a much more affordable place to live than a Sugar Land would be. And so because of that affordability, you're going to be able to probably see your money stretch. In my experiences, you're going to see your money stretch a whole lot further in the Kingwood area than you would in the Sugar Land area. But depending on where you are, depending on, you know, kind of how close you are to water, how close you are to golf courses out here, I don't want you to be fooled. Some of these are going to be some $1 million homes out here in the Kingwood area as well. So it's really just going to depend on the pocket that you are basically in. But for the most part, you're going to definitely get a little bit more of an affordable lifestyle out here. This is a nice part of Kingwood. But again, not going to be nearly as expensive to be out here as it would be in a Sugar Land area. For the most part, you're going to be going down Kingwood and kind of seeing houses that kind of look like this, that are a little bit more normal, not as mansion-y as some of the other places that we've seen so far. And so with that mix of solid public schools, affordability, and things that you're kind of going to love about being in a nice suburb community, you're going to get that in the greater Kingwood area. Now, this next one is coming in at number 3, and I was shook. I was shocked. I've lived here a few years ago, so I've gone through this area and I've toured in this area, and I know kind of where it is. But when I tell most people that the top 3 place to live in the greater Houston metro and is Spring Valley Village, they're like, where the hell is Spring Valley Village? And so Les showing you is kind of the cousin of what Bunker Hill is just north of I-10. If you can see, this is one we reviewed earlier on in this video. It's a small little community. It's very close to everything. And so this is the cousin to the north of Bunker Hill Village. This is Spring Valley Village. It's going to be just north of I-10. some of the great things about being where Bunker Hill was. You're going to have basically the same thing. You're going to be very close to Memorial. You're going to be very close to the Beltway as well as the Loop. So any infrastructure that you have along any one of these, you're going to be very close to. You're also going to be very close to Spring Branch. You're kind of nestled in between all of the Spring Branches, which is a really nice area. Depending on the part, it's really nice areas around the greater Houston metro. And so you're definitely going to have your shopping, your eateries, your things. You're going to be very close to the Galleria area as well. So it's definitely going to depend on kind of the lifestyle that you want to live. But this is one of the closest places into the actual city of Houston outside of Bunker Hill that you can get and still be considered like its own thing. And so public schools, housing, great for family, everything is good. Diversity is not as great as the other places that we've seen so far. But because you're kind of nestled where you are, you're gonna spend a pretty penny out here. So not quite sure why this one is getting rated so much better than Bunker Hill. Maybe it's because the price is almost cut in half. And that's not as crazy for a lot of people out here in Houston. But the median home price out there is going to be somewhere around $850,000. So what you're going to see is a lot of these homes that are nice size, that's going to have nice manicured streets. You're going to have some mini McMansions in a lot of these places. And so it is definitely to have that much square footage or to have that much yard and that much space and be so close to the amenities and to be damn near in Houston. It's gonna be, it's gonna come at a price, right? And so that's what you're seeing for a lot of these. But the public schools and all the stuff that's tied to it, all the amenities tied to this location are gonna be top notch, but it's gonna come at a steep price. And so just kind of jumping in here, you can see that again, some of these houses are gonna be some mini McMansions. You know, I would say that this area isn't as pretty as Bunker Hill because Bunker Hill just has tons of mature trees, but you still have some trees out in this neighborhood. It's just a little bit more cleared out. But this is kind of the style of home that you can expect to have out in the greater Spring Valley Village area. Now, there are going to be some, because Houston is a weird place when it comes to real estate. You can have this, and this house is probably worth $400,000 or $500,000, right? And then you can be right next door to this modern marvel that is several $1,000,000 right next door. That's just Houston real estate for you. But what you're going to see out here is also a lot of places that have been where that existing home was maybe demoed, and you're going to see a lot of new construction, kind of custom homes being built back here. And I'm sure that's what's really driving up the prices in this area. So this is kind of what you can expect in the Spring Valley area. It's really pretty. I think Bunker Hill has it edged out on just overall greenery, but this is a really gorgeous place to be, and apparently the #3 place in Houston to raise a family. Coming in at #2, the gold standard of what it means to live in a pretty place around the greater Houston area, and that is the Woodlands. Now, I am shocked that this one came in at #2 and wasn't #1, because it's #1 on so many people's lists for so many things. But I love this place. I think it is gorgeous. And if you've never been to the Woodlands, and as you're driving in and you're coming off of the interstate off of 45, you're just greeted by just beautiful trees. It has great shopping. It has museums. It has a lovely park. It has the Woodlands Pavilion. It just has so much stuff that you can do out there. It has that kind of like a little river walky sort of vibe. It has great golf courses. It just basically has everything that you're going to ever need to call a place home. You're never going to feel like you need to be in and out of Houston to get the amenities that you're going to want, because you got it all right here, out here in the Woodlands. And so I was shocked when this came in at #2. Like I said, it just wins so many awards damn near every year for being the best place to live in Texas. And I was just very shocked that this came in at #2. But according to niche.com, this is #2. So what you can expect out here, the variety is you're gonna have a lot of mature trees. That's gonna be the theme, just a lot of greenery. You're gonna also have some access to some lake life. You're gonna have tons of greenery for parks and things that you can do, parks and recreational things that you can do. Just a really gorgeous place. If you're not familiar with where you are, you're kind of tucked in here around Conroe and in between Tomball. So as you can see, most of this map is green, and so they did a really gorgeous job when they developed this out to keep it as green as possible. And it's one of my favorite places that I ever tour in, that I ever visit, I just love being in the Woodlands just because of the way it makes me feel kind of tucked in and nestled close to nature. And as someone that's in the real estate space, and so many people just kind of go through and just decimate all the trees, and it's just this flat plain thing. I love that the Woodlands kept the trees and kept nature in mind when they were developing it. Hopping on over, public schools, housing, good for families, diversity, all those things are going to be what I expect. The median home values are going to take that step up kind of closer to 400,000. So not too far off from what we were seeing in the greater Sugar Land area. I would say that in my experiences that this is a little bit more of a more expensive place than Sugar Land on average. I would say the average kind of starter home price out here is like low fours for most of this if you don't want to have to do a ton of work. But this is a much older community. I believe the Woodlands kind of started in like the late 60s or early 70s. So it's going to be an older community for most of these. It's not going to be a ton of new construction options. I haven't seen anything as of, I've seen a couple kind of like townhomey sort of things on the outside or the outskirts of the Woodlands, but there's not going to be massive new master plan communities coming up in the Woodlands. All that stuff is going to kind of be out in the boonies of Conroe, or kind of stretching out going towards Porter, New Caney sort of area. But if you're not even being super fancy and you're just riding around a normal street in the Woodlands, you can expect to just see nice size houses that are covered in greenery. The mature trees that you're just going to see and have and just feel like you're just in the woods, it's just going to be unmatched. People try to copy it. There's a couple communities that do a good job of trying to copy this. The Groves in Humble is one, and also the Highlands in Porter is another location that does a really great job of leaving the trees, but no one quite does it like the Woodlands have done it. And so I really think that this is just a gorgeous location, one of my favorite ones, and niche.com thinks it's the #2 place to raise a family. And so drum roll, who's #1? So if it wasn't the Woodlands, who is #1? And I was actually shocked that it was this place, but once I thought about it, it was just like, okay, that makes sense. I was just shocked that it wasn't the Woodlands, and the #1 place is Cinco Ranch. So Cinco Ranch is just south of I-10, right off of 99. So it's kind of on the far west side of the greater Houston metro. It's in between kind of Katy and the Richmond area up here, or out here. Really gorgeous location, going to be great schools, lots to do out here because the infrastructure of OG Katy as well as Richmond kind of not too far from you. You're going to have a lot to do. You're going to have your restaurants, you're going to have your movie theaters, you're going to have a bunch of stuff that you can do in addition to the parks and walking trails and all that stuff, of just being in a quintessential suburb community. This is what you get in the greater Cinco Ranch area. So hopping over, public schools, housing, good for families, great diversity, all these things that I would expect to kind of be in that Katy, Richmond area. I would expect those stats to kind of be in line with any of those places that we've already toured before here on this channel. Again, another reason why people kind of gravitate to like a Kingwood, or they gravitate to a Woodlands, or they gravitate to a place like Cinco Ranch, is that the price point isn't Bunker Hill high, it isn't Spring Valley high, right? You're gonna get a very nice neighborhood, you're gonna get really nice amenities and kind of be near everything that you're gonna need for a super affordable price. Now, I would say that in my opinion, there's some other places where your money stretch a little bit further than they would in Cinco Ranch, but for the schools, for the amenities and the things that you're gonna have out in Cinco Ranch, you really can't beat it for the entry price point of somewhere around $400,000 for a really nice house out there. And for many of the locations out in Cinco Ranch, this is kind of what you can expect. Some are gonna be gated, some are not gonna be gated, but you're gonna have some nice sized lots. You're gonna have a little bit of space in between you, so you're not gonna feel like you're in the cookie cutter brand new community where everything is right up on each other. You're gonna have some mature trees because a lot of these sections have been built out for some time now. And so it's a really, really nice community. You're gonna have some mini McMansions on some of these, and then some of these are gonna be a little bit more normal. And so because your money can stretch out here the way that it does, this and it has the great schools and it has a great infrastructure like it does, a lot of people gravitate towards it. And so when I saw that it had bested the Woodlands, I wasn't shocked, but I immediately was just like, okay, I can see that and I can buy it. And so this is the #1 place to raise a family according to niche.com. I'll leave a link to niche.com so you can go out there and check it out in depth on your own. But yeah, that's the list for the day. Do you agree that Cinco Ranch is the #1 place to be? I hope you enjoyed the video. That is the top 10 places to raise a family in the greater Houston metro. I hope that you enjoyed it. I agree with some of these. Some of these places that I've toured even on this channel weren't on the list, and that kind of shocks me a little bit. Like Cypress wasn't on the list. Some parts of Humboldt Atascocita weren't on the list. I expected to see Pearland on the list, and it just didn't make the list. So let me know if you agree. Let me know what you think. If you want to check out some of my other suburb vlogs and tours that I've done on the channel, I'll put those videos up there right now. YouTube thinks that you should check this video out next, so after this one, go ahead and do that as well. I look forward to hearing from you, and I hope you have an amazing day.